Welcome to the Changemakers Corner, powered by FUEL, the FUEL Forward edition with your host, Patrick de Belen. I'm really excited to sit down with all of you, members of the cohort program, our final cohort program, actually, that we're ever running at FUEL. And so, yeah, before we even get started, I'm going to ask that maybe you introduce yourselves. Just look at the camera one at a time. Maybe we'll start with you, Dizzy, and then kind of go this way. And just give them your name, that camera right over there where Rob is. Just give them your name and what you do.
What's going on? My name is Dizzy. I am the founder of grassroots and production house Friends from the Ends. I am a documentary filmmaker. I'm a community strategist. And yeah, I think overall just a creative leader, stapled from Scarborough. Scarborough is the roots. And yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Anne and I'm a wellness club founder called Brown Girls Thriving. It's a space for South Asian women to heal, grow, and build friendships. And I also work in social media as a content creator and also social media management as well.
Heck yeah. All right. Taking it to the end.
Hi everyone, my name is Steffi and my Chinese name is Ng. And I curate, I write, and I take photographs, usually mostly films. And I moved to Canada 3 years ago. And I'm based in Toronto right now, born and raised in Hong Kong though.
Hell yeah, 3 very important people. And I'm excited to get deeper into what y'all do and some of the themes at FUEL. Okay, so let's just start from the beginning, okay? Before we even get started though, just pretend like they're not here, okay? Yeah. We're just chatting like we're at one of our wellness circles. And yeah, just pretend the cameras aren't here, okay? We're just having a normal, casual conversation. Got it? Okay. Yeah, cool. Yeah, if I say something out of pocket, feel free to address the camera and be like, I don't know why we're doing this. Who hired this guy? Yeah, no, I wonder that too all the time, actually, Anne. Okay, cool. So let's start from the beginning. You all do such amazing work, but this is a chance for people to get kind of, like pull back the veil of what y'all do, why it exists. What community needs led you into the work that you do now, So I guess in the same order, this will be a little bit of a longer answer. Feel free to answer in any way you want, but what is your origin story? What brought you to this moment right now and the work you do? So I guess we'll start with you again, Dizzy.
Yeah. So I think I say it a lot, but my origin story starts as an immigrant child who came here very young. With immigrant parents. I think being raised in somewhere like Malvern, for people who don't know where Malvern is, we're super east. We're almost in the borderline of a suburb and the hood. And this is very early on. So I think that contrast also of being from somewhere that is known as an at-risk neighborhood, but then getting to actually see the fruits of this community that you didn't even know was seen as a bad place until you left, And I think that had a lot to do with the nuances of me being a creative and growing up somewhere where, we lost a lot of people to violence, and literally they say that creative expression heals people, but that's something I actually got to see. And I think that really motivated my journey. I don't really see myself doing anything else. I can't do a 9-to-5 because the thing that fuels me the most is kind of seeing what creativity really did for a lot of us. And there's so much people I feel that I've lost that haven't got to see, 30 yet, or got to, live till 25, and just to see what the city is bringing. I want to make sure that, the community that we lost, the folks that we lost, that we're doing this for them and giving them a second breath by being those people from places like Malvern that can really thrive, because you're really a representation, whether you like it or not, you're a representation of the community that you come from. And I think that I hold Malvern to my heart dearly because, there's a lot of great places in Toronto, but where I was raised definitely had to do with, why I even want to make change in the first place. Yeah.
It's so interesting you say, because I also am from a similar neighborhood growing up, and I always say that too, where when you you don't really notice that you're in this at-risk neighborhood until you leave it, and then you're just oh, this is how other people see where I'm from. When you're growing up there, you're just this is
This is lit.
Great. It's fine. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If anything, I would say that the most gentrified neighborhoods are at risk actually than where I grew up. But like, so for me, like, you know, I'm curious, like what I can see the need. I mean, like when you're young, you can understand what your community needs and what it, you know, what it has to go through. And you mentioned loss and you know, due to violence, and that's all very clear. What kind of led to doing your specific art form though?
Yeah, well, honestly, like I actually started off as a rapper. Like a lot of people know me to be a writer. And I think that's where, whether you're a filmmaker, photographer, I feel like you start with writing in your head, whether you're drawing up stuff. So that form of expression and writing and telling a story, I think for people who live in places like Malvern, that's like natural. Because you're always telling somebody a story, whether you're gossiping or whether you're like hanging out with the OGs and they're telling you guys how this community looked like before, there's always a story. So even when I was doing music videos, I wanted to direct my own music videos, or like when I got into the studio, I wanted to write lyrics for artists. And this thing of storytelling, when one of my best friends introduced me to film, I was like, whoa, like film is something everyone should be doing. Like this is such a controversial like form of like art that like so many people can be involved in. And I think for me, bouncing to different things every year, from fashion to music, film has been something that stuck because of how many people I could get involved in this conversation. Because everyone has a story. Everyone should do film. And I tell people that all the time when I teach my participants. They might not be interested in actually being a director or writing, but there's something about that they relate to. And then seeing that spark of people being so passionate to like want to show their story, then like, you know, that's something that I could get behind. That's something that I can move forward forever. So being a director and filmmaking, especially documentary, and being someone who never really watched documentaries, I just saw the power of what it's really doing on the ground. And that's where I found like my both worlds of community and creativity are meshing so perfectly and actually creating an impact. You know? So
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. We're snapping our fingers sometimes.
Okay.
Gang, indeed. Art and social impact, like sometimes we don't make that connection right off the bat.
Right.
And I think that we sometimes just want to tell stories. Like that's it. You know, and then after that it starts manifesting into something else because, you know, you figure out, you realize you start telling stories about your life. And then once you do that, you have to talk about your environment and your community. And then once you do that, you start to see like, oh, okay, there are other people part of this community too that have stories. And then somehow organically you end up in a place where you're like, now I want to put a platform for other people to do that. I could feel that's very organic for you too, right? Like it wasn't this planned thing, kind of just happened. But I love how you said that storytelling is the root of it all.
Yeah,
you know, like before you even knew what the medium was, you're just like, these are these important stories that need to be told. And I think that's why we did Changemakers Corner, because I think I wanted to get to the story of what you do rather than just like what's shown on social media or whatever, but like, how did it start, you know? Yeah. That's beautiful to see. Okay, we'll move on. Hi. What's up? Hi. What?
No, that was beautiful.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, we didn't prepare for this interview. That's so funny. I know, because I know Dizzy write grants too, because I could hear, like, I was like, oh, there it is.
But
like,
that's why I want them to get in their bag, because in our FUEL circle, like, they be talking, like, you know, like, really giving us the goods. So that's how I'm feeling right now. Before it was that, but now it's this.
Now it's this. Hell yeah. I know, but I love the way you tell this story, Dizzy. I can't wait to learn more. But, and so, origin story, you know, there's Brown Girls Thriving, there's you on stages talking to people, consulting for people. But, you know, like, before all of that, what led to it?
Yeah, so I think I made Brown Girls Thriving about 2.5 years ago now. And I created it because I feel like as a South Asian woman, inside the South Asian community especially, I felt really alone with the weight of the expectations that were placed on me. I kind of felt like I was put in a box in terms of even the roles that I had to play, like making sure I was taking care of everybody else. And if I did anything outside of that or outside of the timeline that was already kind of placed on me, I was kind of in this situation where I would get ostracized for it. And to me, like the timeline that I had placed on me, it never sat right with me. Like in terms of, getting married as soon as possible, the type of career I should be doing, all of it just didn't feel right for me. And I'm not saying that like, going the traditional route is bad, which it's not, it's really not. But I think at the end of the day, like you have a feeling inside of you if something feels right. And so when I didn't know other brown women felt like this. I thought it was just me. So when I realized, and I had South Asian friends growing up, and we just never talked about any of these topics. So when I realized that a lot of people that I grew up with also felt this way, and just conversations I was having, I was like, damn, it is not just me. Like, we need to talk more about this and actually just have some sort of space where we can just air it out. Because I feel like the more that you talk it out, the less weight it has on your shoulders and you feel less alone. So I just made the Brown Girls Thriving page, and I was like, I couldn't come up with a really good name, honestly. I didn't really like the name, but I was like, I don't want that to stop me from launching the page. So I was like, yeah, let's just make it literal. And yeah, and then that's when I started getting messages from even people from my high school, my elementary school, being like, oh my gosh, I actually felt the exact same way that you did as well. So yeah, I think once I started launching it and talking about these more taboo topics, I realized that I didn't want to just talk about it, because now we're stuck in this like loop of talking about all of the shit that we go through, and then nothing's being done. So then I was like, okay, a year later, I was like, maybe it's time to actually host events that speak to taking action and actually speak to kind of getting out of that survival mindset and more into that growth mindset of like, okay, how can we like just live a life where we can actually feel fulfilled and feel accepted for who we are. And so now like the events that we curate are curated to be out of our comfort zone and to build those friendships in non-traditional spaces, try new activities that maybe we wouldn't have tried otherwise, and just see how you feel and like realize that maybe different routes might actually suit you better. So yeah, I've been able to meet like amazing South Asian women that have inspired me, and I'm so grateful for it to just know that I'm not the only person who was feeling like this and still does sometimes.
Thank you. First of all, I very much relate to the idea of like being, like a BIPOC kid in this country. Like when you get here, it comes with all these like preconceived notions of how you should be, And I think whether that's societal or even like cultural, there's just so many different factors that lead to why, like there's a set path that you're expected to go on, right? And you're right, it's okay if you want to walk that path. But I think for people who don't necessarily subscribe to those things, it becomes difficult, because then you're just like, now I have to pave roads outside of that. And and I'm not going to assume that all white people don't experience this, but a lot don't, because they grow up here and they just like, this is, you could be whatever you like. You are the default character in the video game. You get to go into any kind of like whatever. But for us, we're like side characters that are like kind of forced down a certain path. So my question is like, before even like starting all, your organization and Brown Girls Thriving, which by the way is a great name.
Yeah.
I don't think I feel the same way you do about the name. I kind of like how literal it is, because sometimes you have to be literal when it comes to people like, what do you do? The name has to say it. Right? The name has to say it. So like, this is what I'm doing. And like, you already off the bat set that standard that I am here to create spaces for brown girls to thrive, period. And I think that sometimes you need that, but was it difficult for you? Like, what were the obstacles you faced when deciding you wanted to veer off this path that existed? Was there like things you had to go through, like internally, externally, that was, tough?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I would say there were a lot of, I think, mental barriers in terms of creating Brown Girls Thriving, because to me especially, I didn't really see any routes outside or paths outside of the corporate life. Like, I was working at a marketing agency at the time, and when I had the idea to start Brown Girls Thriving, I immediately shut it down in my head, because I'm like, I don't have the time. Like I'm already working full time and I can't choose, like to me, it's one or the other. And I never saw anyone have like, you know, multiple like side quests or like things like that. That was just not in my world at the time. It was not until I went to the library and I picked up the most random book. It was called The Multi-Lifestyle. And I was like, let me just read this, take a little look. And it changed my life because I didn't know that people have lifestyles where their job isn't just like their role, like their identity. And you can actually choose a lifestyle where you're describing like your values as your personal brand. And so when I read that, I was like writing down like, what do I enjoy? What you know, what are my values in general? How can I turn this into my lifestyle? And for me, that's like, you know, building community, that's wellness, that's just creating those safe spaces. And I think reading that I can do multiple projects, and it doesn't mean that, you know, like I hate that quote, that like jack of all trades, master of none. I hate that quote.
That. I'm a master of all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Master of all. And like, why do I have to fit into one box? Like I am a multifaceted person. I do have multiple passions and I can do it all, honestly. But I guess like the burnout side there's some moments like that. But yeah, so I think once I realized I can kind of have that multi-lifestyle, I launched the page. And there are some people that I think have a negative image of brown girl thriving because they see it as so, like I think they'll see it as like anti, like for example, we had a kickboxing self-defense class because violence against South Asian women is really high. And I was like, I want to create a space where we can teach brown women to fight back and defend themselves. And we definitely did receive some comments where they were like, women don't need to learn how to fight. Like that's dangerous. Like they don't. And I'm like, what are you even saying right now? You're basically saying you want women to not know how to defend themselves and you want them to stay vulnerable. So we do get negative comments like that sometimes, but to me, I just take it as a sign that we're on the right track, and that's just all it is. Like, once you start getting some haters, you're like, okay,
you're doing something
right. Yeah.
You're doing something, and I say that to a lot of people too. Like I think, in a deeper sense, I think like when it comes to social impact work, especially, I think when you are facing resistance, that's kind of the point. You know, and it's kind of a signifier that you're doing good work, right? I think if it all comes easy, then maybe the need was not truly there because part of what you're doing is kind of breaking, you know, like barriers that were there. And so with that comes resistance, you know? So yeah, like fucking forget that guy. Yeah, or that person who said that. But yeah, that's really great. And I'm glad that you did. And the kickboxing thing went well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could see, like, I tried it too, because I wasn't really great at self-defense and stuff. And I felt like I got a boost of energy. Like, I felt like I could fight. Like, I just felt really empowered.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was a really good feeling.
Want to give us a demonstration? Like, Maddie, you want to come over here and get your yeah, just kick Maddie in the face? Yeah, I'd love to see that. All right, maybe later. Thanks a lot. All right. Hi. What's the origin story? How did you get here?
So after I did my undergrad, I actually stayed in Hong Kong for my 9-to-5, like corporate job, because my parents wanted, of course, and then it sort of makes my living. And then I'm really lucky because at the very end of my work in Hong Kong, I got a chance to curate like fashion shows and runways and like pop-ups and help promoting like local brands to different places. So it's like, oh, I actually could do something related to curating or like writing or promoting brands. So I thought, oh, okay, probably I should look for like places that I could do studies and stuff like that. And then one of my friends who actually suggested, oh, probably Canada, you could do it. You haven't been there, but you could try it out and see. And then I came here to pursue my studies in curatorial studies. And at that time, so I'm new to the country, I'm new to study. So everything's just got so messed up. I don't really know who I am. I don't really know what I need to curate in this space because I feel like I don't belong in here. It's like I'm just an international student and then just being here as a newcomer. I don't know what I should do. So, and then in my cohort, there are a few classmates who are also newcomers. And I've also, because I don't have any friends here, so I go to all those like newcomer artist trainings, newcomers artists like classes, just to meet people. And I realized that people are so friendly and then they're so acceptable and then they're using like art as a medium to help people just build friendships and like share their challenges in here and just a very joyful space, I would say. So I think this is something that I really want to do. And because a lot of my friends, they told me that, oh, I feel like gallery is not a space that I could go or, you know, like art programs are not something that I should go. It doesn't belong to me. So I feel like it would be really interesting to have this space because I have this privilege to do my study. I have like spaces at my uni and then I could do stuff that, you know, like for people who feel like they're unwelcome in that space and then come here and then curate shows and then do workshops, art workshops for them. So that's how I started as sort of like my project at school, thinking about like how I could invite these people to the space. And that's sort of how I continue what I'm doing, like doing a lot of like newcomers like art programs, because I feel like a lot of the times when newcomers coming here, they feel that burden of sharing, oh, I have this challenge, like I feel so like unbelonged here, I'm really sad. And of course, like I really acknowledge that because I feel the same way as well. But I feel like there's a lot of spaces where you could create like really joyful, like really happy memories as well. So that's why I feel like art is a really good medium to do that because you don't really need to speak, to be honest. Like some sort of like visual arts, you don't really need to speak. And then you could draw, you could cut, you could do collage and stuff. So you really feel that people are coming in the space, like really just feeling happy and just doing things like unleashing their creativity. So that's what I sort of like continue doing right now. So that's, yeah, it's not like something that I've envisioned myself of doing, like, oh, as a newcomer, I do this program and stuff like that. But it's sort of like emerged from my experience, I guess, in here.
Thank you so much. Wow. Hell yeah. What I'm just getting to, like the pattern between the three of you too, is just this idea that like a lot of these paths are organic. Like there's no, like you don't know what you're gonna do, but you're faced with these obstacles and these kind of limitations to the life that you can live. And then you're like, there's just like kind of this feeling where you want to push against those things and create new spaces. And I love how that's kind of the origin of those things, you know, because sometimes like, yeah, some people, they live lives where, you know, which is totally fine, but they're like, oh, I'm going to go to school here, then I'm going to work for my dad's company, and then I'm going to make millions of dollars, and I'm just going to have children and then like die, you know? But, you know, but like, yeah, but I think, yeah, just like, and also like, you know, I related a lot to, you know, what you're saying about newcomers. I myself was born here, but my parents, they tell me all the time about how hard it was for them to like make a life here and find a community of people. And I love how like a lot of people could probably submit to all of that sadness and loneliness, but instead you're like, what space do I have access to? What resources do I have available within reach? I will create the space myself. And like that is a real brave thing to do, and not many people do that, you know. Yeah, no, I'm so serious. So yeah, I really love that. You went to OCAD, right? Yeah. So I've been really lucky to have that resources, and I want to share that with people because I've got a lot of, you know, help from other organizations like FUEL and like other organizations. The name drop, yeah.
Name drop.
Yeah. Thank you.
And then for, you know, like shaping how I could live here. So I think it's fair that if I could do it, then I should do it. So yeah.
Yes. And like, it's hard, right? Like it's hard. It's a whole different area, culture, also resources. Like, yeah, we do have some support, you know, but ultimately it's not easy to like find your footing here in any city really, and you're doing it. So yeah, congratulations, Steffi. Yeah. So you all do a lot of different kinds of work, and you know, you serve different communities, and you know, it's like it's easy to see, like, you know, the communities that you represent and like your connection to it. It's very easy to see. Now, this is also not easy work because you do a million different things, right? Community builder is like one thing, but like with that comes 100 hats. Like there's so many hats that you have to wear, and then balance a personal life. So I guess we talked about this a little bit. We'll go deeper into it. Do you burn out? You know, like, do you get tired doing all of this? Because, you know, in a way you're representing a lot of other people too, which may seem kind of heavy in a way, you know, to have to carry the narratives and stories of a lot of different people. So does it get tiring, you know? And that's my question. So like, do you get burnt out? And if so, like, what does it look like when you get burnt out? Like, how is the experience when you're burnt out? Yeah.
I think all the time.
Yeah, okay.
I think I burn out every day, actually. Probably. Because, you know, doing all these stuff, especially doing that independently, is very difficult. So you're doing, just as what Anne said, I think you're doing like a lot of different like roles in your life. So you're doing, so for me, I'm doing like curating, I'm writing, I'm, you know, like using Instagram to market myself. And then I need to, you know, figure out where I could get those like budgets and, you know, all the administrative stuff. And I need to make a living. And then, so it's been pretty difficult. And, yeah, and oftentimes I feel really scared as well, because as someone who just moved here like a while ago, I don't know if I'm in that position of doing the thing that I'm doing. And I think that really, I often question myself like that. Like, am I doing like the right thing for the right people, or am I doing that correctly? Like, have I done something like completely ignoring like other newcomers because I'm just from Hong Kong, and then is there other communities that I need to take care of? So there's oftentimes that there's a lot of burden in my thinking, but I don't know, how does that look like? I would just like lay in my bed and then just thinking, and then just keep on thinking of myself like not doing enough, like I should do more. If I got this time like after work, should I do more and do more? So that's sort of like how it looks like, I feel like.
And what do you do like to maybe like get yourself out of that place? Or like, you know, like what do you, I guess your wellness routine, like what does it look like when you're feeling that burnout? What do you do to get on the other side of it?
I think, I remember one of our other classmates from the cohort, I remember she mentioned that, like at this time, I couldn't even think of a way of like how to, you know, sort of cater to your own wellness, because you're just, for me, I'm just like emerging, like helping out at a very beginner's level. So I feel like, there's so much more things that I want to do. So I really don't have any time to think about like how I could be better in terms of my wellness. But I will say if I feel really, really burnt out, I will sort of go to do like a bit of like yoga and exercise, because at that time when I'm running like hell loads of like just burning out my calories, I feel like, I'm actually thinking about other things instead of like work or what I'm doing for the community. So I think that's a bit better for me, because in the past, like art or sort of like taking photos is part of my wellness routine, but now it becomes part of my job. So it's a little bit hard to like juggle between those two. So right now I'm like doing something completely different from what I'm working on, then it's like a bit better. Yeah.
Thank you for saying that. That's just very insightful, because I do think that a lot of us working in community, especially around wellness becomes part of our job. you know? And so how do we now, like, where do we distinguish the difference? Like, where does our job end and our actual wellness begin? And how do we, you know, so I like how you said you do something totally different than what you do in like your community building and stuff. That helps you be a little bit more present in your body, especially in like yoga, right? So that makes a lot of sense, because I feel the same way, you know, like I feel like writing is my form of wellness, but if I'm teaching writing all the time, I'm not looking at it like that, you know? So that makes sense to try something totally different than what you do. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. All right, how about you? Burnout, do you burn out? What does it look like when you burn out, and how do you, you know, get out of not burning out? I'm looking for a better word for getting out of burnout, but I guess wellness is the word. But yeah, so what do you do?
Yeah, I would definitely say I have experienced burnout before. I think the worst of it was probably while I was working my corporate job and trying to like do Brown Girls Thriving on the weekends and my evenings. So I think the main reason why I was burning out during that time was because I could feel like mentally and spiritually that I had outgrown that environment, but I wasn't allowing myself to leave. So I think kind of balancing both workloads when you know like you don't want to be there, just I was really like taking a mental toll and also a physical toll. Like my body was definitely reacting. I was getting sick on a monthly basis while I was working at my full-time job, which I never usually do. So my body was definitely trying to tell me something. Looking back, I think also now that living the multi-hyphen, like, you know, working on building community and also being in social media is kind of hard. Because I always get that thought in the back of my head on like my day-to-day. I'm like, should this be a content idea? Should this be a content piece? Should I be filming right now? Should I be getting behind the scenes right now? Should I be, you know? So I think when you start getting in that zone, for me, I struggle sometimes to like turn that part of myself off, and instead of just like, you know, be locked in and go. And then I end up just like, I realize rest, yes, like I'll be chilling sometimes, but I realize I forget to incorporate play. And I think that's not talked about enough for burnout. Is like, yes, rest is important, but so is incorporating play, because now I'll have moments where I'll make sure I incorporate fun moments where I'm not on my phone. I am just, you know, whether it's like coloring, whether it's hanging out with my friends where like I don't feel the need to like film us, or just, you know, just really incorporating moments where that joy and that inner child comes out, because like that inner child side of me, like sometimes adulting just gets a little too serious, honestly. It gets a little too serious, and yeah, so yeah, so I think
it's totally overrated. Like I think it's just not a thing. Yeah.
So especially when you're working the whole day, like I think sometimes we don't have the energy to like call somebody or have longer conversations with people, things like that. But now I'll really take the time to just incorporate more of that play, like, and have conversations with strangers, and just like try to have more relational, more spaces to just casually like develop bonds with people. Even if it's just like with the bus driver and I'm just like talking about something, you know, I mean, maybe not the TTC, but God no, but yeah. But yeah, just, I don't know, just incorporating more of that play side, I think, is something that I'll forget because I'll be working a little bit too much.
Yeah, thank you. That's huge. And I think I love, again, there's always kind of like this through line of being now in this moment of being present and doing whatever you can to be present, whether it's like yoga and movement and body awareness or play and like being your inner child. These things are ways to kind of take us away from all of the things that we're thinking about with work. And like I totally relate to that. I'm not as much like online or in social media, but I know for a fact there are people, my friends, who like they're on social media and their biggest obstacle is knowing when to not be on social media, or at least not think about incorporating it in a moment, because and it's not even like this weird thing where you're like, I'm addicted to it or whatever. It's more just like, this could help my job, so like, should I be doing it? And then you were just like, but so like having that voice in your head be like, no, like you're just gonna play today and not be doing it. That's so important, right? It's so valuable. And I'm glad you're incorporating that more in your work, because that blue screen burnout is like bad, you know? Yeah. So I'm glad you're doing that. All right, Dizzy, how about you?
I mean, I feel like, you know, like hearing you guys talk, I mean, you guys said a lot of things that I'm not going to repeat again, but like something that I'm hearing a lot that I relate to a lot is like, you know, understanding where that burnout is, and like the burden part was so real. And like, you know, when you guys like try to explain what that even looks like, and the fact that it's even hard for us to even picture what burnout is because like people are already looking at us like, how are you not burnt out? So like when you have to ask yourself that, I think that's when it hits. Like, am I burning out? Is this what it is? So for me, I just want to say like trying to explain burnout, like though I feel like, you know, a lot of people come from places that I can very easily see where you get burned out, having a real job. Like these are experiences that like I don't feel like I got to have, you know what I'm saying? Like I've never worked a 9 to 5 because I didn't want to, I tried to. And like, you know, always being fired or like leaving, like I feel like I was really always chilling a lot. And like a part of like burnout for me, I didn't know what that meant or like how to talk about it, because like I felt like a lot of the things that I'm doing were like things I was trying to do like on a regular basis that I didn't even know it was working until you start getting paid for it, right? And then I think like for me, like one thing that I'll say is like, I think a reason why it's hard for me to even explain when I'm burnt out or whatever, I feel like, you know, as I explained, like when you come from smaller places, like I think that something I always used to say is like, I feel like the opposite of like depression and oppression for us isn't always like getting rich or getting money or getting a job. It's literally expression. Like the opposite of oppression and depression is expression. So because of being able to express, whether it's helping people do films or creating a film or meeting up in like programs like this, like how can I don't know where the burnout is, because these are the things that I feel like my spirit is just yearning to do. And like there's a lot of people that work full-time jobs that like they probably wish they could be sitting here right now on a Saturday and just talking creative stuff. And like I don't take that for granted, just because of like, you know, like when you were really in the trenches of like trying to even figure out like how to get, you know, a meal the next day or whatever circumstances that you come from, you don't take for granted the places where you could get tired, like, you know, or where you could really put your hustle in, because no one ever looked to me for that before. No one even like looked my way to even say, yo, I need to depend on you for something. You know, I was always just like, yo, take this out of here, man. Like I was always that person. I was like the young person in the crew all the time that's just like, yo, like shoo, you know? So to know, I think for me, I'm starting to learn more about burnout. And I think that burnout for me is literally like, you know, the burden, like you mentioned, of like having a survivor's guilt. That's a part of my burden. I was like, okay, am I doing enough to prove that, like, you know, this is how far we can go? How much further should we go? Like, you know? And I think that burnout for me is really an emotional and a mental thing. And like the wellness part of it is like, honestly, like, is going to programs. Like for me, like when I got really depressed after my first doc because of how much emotion came up that I never thought about, I went and found a program to enter that taught me about mental health. Then that became a documentary. So I think it's just like trying not to make everything a product. But I think that as creative people and as change makers, like we're just weaving through. Like I don't know when the burnout comes, but I feel like even when we're burnt out, we're probably going to do something that will make someone else feel like, yo, aren't you burnt out? So yeah, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, no, thank you, Dizzy. That's very insightful. And I don't think like, you know, I think doing fulfilling work, there is a lot that you, like energy that you get from it, you know, and it motivates you to continue. And I don't think that like, you know, the narrative of burnout needs to like stop anybody from continuing with that, you know, that momentum, you know, because that's gold. Right? When you're like invigorated by the work you do and it can keep you going, that's gold. So I don't think ever stopping that is ever a thing, you know? I don't think you ever need to. And I think more people are trying to get on your wave of understanding, like, you know, of like being able to do that sustainably forever, you know? What is on your mind? What is important to you that you feel like should be talked about more? There is absolutely no structure to this. And if you don't have an answer, that is okay. But from what I gather, a lot of the times, changemakers, they know like what is important to them. And so, I'll open it up to the floor. We'll start with you again, Steffi, whenever you feel ready, okay? Anything that feels important to you. I think you've already kind of mentioned some of it. So, but you can bring it up again. Yeah. We're doing open-ended
what would you
right
say?
now. For me, I would start with the importance of storytelling. I think that is always like where I stop. And I think that everybody is a walking story, and it's important for me to for like people to know more about that, because I think the world changes once they learn about, and people become more empathetic once people.
Now that you said that, I have something at the top of my head.
Okay, it's you.
But
it's
I
you.
feel like I already said it in a different. But it's okay.
But it's okay.
Right?
Don't worry. This is for social media.
It's okay.
You don't know what's gonna get more likes. You know what I'm saying?
I think this is. That's why I'm gonna drop it here.
Okay.
Because aesthetic is better,
Yeah, exactly.
The last time I said this line, I was like in a courtyard, black and white and shit. So I think so because when you said that thing about storytelling, and like something that I always said to people is like, when I said that piece about everyone should make a film at some point because it's so controversial. But like one thing that I like when I started Friends from the Ends, and like when I was meeting up with all these different artists from like the UK, New York, and like using our little 1-bedroom apartment to like let everyone stay. And I'm wondering why people even want to come back here. Like, why are you buying tickets to come chill in like Bleecker? You know what I'm saying? So we can take streetcars to the shows. And like what I'm realizing is a lot of people, even though we're so different, like one thing that they're feeling from the energy here in like my home is that they feel like I'm really like their individuality is being influenced. So that's something I always live by, like to influence people's individuality. Because when like you encourage people to tell their story, they go into all sorts of places. Like we, like as changemakers, we're kind of like, how do we help all these different communities? But for me, I think that to influence, like help influence people's individualities is helping them, bring their unique identity into these stories that are missing. And like, I think that that's the most important thing about somebody is to not teach them how to make a film, not teach them how to write, not teach them how to do shit, just influence or help them understand what their identity is and help them, support them to bring that out into the world, because we don't even know what that is. Like when you think about being a manager or something like that, where you're supporting a talent, like you shouldn't be telling them like what to do. They're the talent. They got this gift that you have no idea. It sucks for you, but like you have your job here is to not create the product. Your job here is to make sure you're feeding them the right food and telling them the right jokes to inspire that thing that they already have. So I think that when people look at us as change makers and we're teaching people, like I think one thing I've always wanted to say is like, I'm not teaching them anything. What I'm doing here is trying to create the best space where they can feel comfortable enough to really get in their bag and like show people what we all don't even know about them yet. And I feel like that's been done for me in like past, where I had mentors and people in after school programs who just took the time with me as a child to be gentle, to say, yo, I know a lot of people say this about you, but I want to know about you. And those little moments that I had where someone influenced my individuality, I feel like it gave me the backbone to be like, nah, someone thought I was special. That wasn't just my mom. And we're here. And I think that that's something I've been carrying as a change maker, is to continue to breed that into the youth or the next generations.
It's beautiful, Dizzy. Thank you. That's beautiful. See, yeah, they had that. Yeah. Dizzy was spitting. We were all just like bum Dizzy was spitting. Yeah. Thank you, Dizzy. All right, who wants to go next?
I could go because I completely resonate with what Dizzy was just saying, because I feel like a lot of the times, especially for like communities surrounding myself, I feel like a lot of people are thinking like art is something that is really high end, like they are not accessible. They really want to try it. They often just say, when I'm saying, we could do something like around art, we could do like workshop or stuff, and then they were like, I'm not good at drawing. Like they have like that specific sort of image of how art should look like. And I feel like it is not true. Like probably I will fuck up my career because I'm saying that, but then, I think that is not true. And then, but I think it's really about like bringing people together as people who are like change makers. Is bringing people together, creating this space, and then they could try and they could be themselves. So I feel like what I really want to do is thinking about art, because when I was smaller, I feel like art is about drawing too. So it's only about that. So it is really limited. But right now, I could see how this, as like art as a medium, could actually bring people together, and how like friendships and thinking about your own story or like expressions, as what you've been saying, I think is a lot more important than the product itself, like what you are creating. That of course is important, but then it's not like as important. Probably like it's the same amount of importance in terms of the process and the outcome. So that's sort of how I feel after hearing a speech.
Thank you, Steffi. Thank you. Yes, journey, destination. Sometimes it's all about the journey, and making it accessible for people to also be willing to walk that path, with you. That's beautiful. Thank you. All right, taking us home.
Yeah, okay. I think something that's been on my mind a lot the past few weeks even is trying to embrace imperfection, because at least I'll be so hard on myself sometimes when I have ideas that I want to do, or certain things that when I think about, like, if my standards are all the way up here in terms of everything being absolutely perfect in order for me to try it, I end up not doing it at all. So my only goal these days is just to show up, and whether it ends up being a mess or whatever it is, like, I'll embrace it, because that's literally the only way I think to grow and to actually like honor yourself and honor that gut feeling that you had in the first place that put you in that environment. Because like that need or that urge to be a perfectionist can kill so many dreams and can put so much pressure on ourselves that shouldn't be there in the first place, but because of whatever we experience in childhood, or even like that thought of having other people watch us like potentially fail, it's like it can be so heavy. But I think the only way to, like, there's only so much you can journal, there's only so much you can like talk about an idea. You just have to do it messy, and you just have to get it over with, and you will learn so much. Like, I'm not a textbook learner. I don't learn by like reading things. I learn by doing. And I didn't start doing technically the things that I actually wanted to do until like maybe 2 years ago. So I think like now understanding how I learn and how I grow, I'm obsessed with like going outside of my comfort zone, because even though I'll be like inching my way out of my comfort zone, like very unwillingly, but I know I have to do it. I know there's an evolved version of me on the other side. And I know that I'll have a better understanding of like myself, my values, even just expanding. I love that term, the window of tolerance, because even 2 years ago, the thought of doing something like this was my worst nightmare. I hated anything, raising my hand in class. I hated speaking in like groups of more than 2 people. But now I love yapping with people on camera, on anything, because I slowly was expanding my window of tolerance with experiences. So I think that's something. If there is someone out there that, they have a dream, but it just feels so far away, I would say take those smaller steps of experiences, not just talking about certain things. And that's like the best way, I feel like, to just to feel more aligned internally.
Hell yeah. Thank you. Do it messy. I'm gonna get that tag.
Do it messy.
Sure. I love that. Do it messy.
Yeah.
That's sick, right?
Yeah.
I love that. Okay. Thank you so much. We're heading towards the end of the interview. I want to give y'all some time to eat whatever you ordered and things like that. But I just want to say y'all sound so insightful. And I'm very grateful for y'all being here and sharing this space. It's been really great to watch all of you just talk about what you do, and I could like really see the light in your eyes when you talk about it. And I hope I know it's that. Yeah, Dizzy, thank you. Yeah, it's the light. It's the light that's here. Yeah, Dizzy's like the setup. Yeah, no, you're right. All right, but I was getting something else too. There was something else. No, but I think I wish that for everybody. I wish everyone, whatever they did to survive in this world, was something that that, you know, brought light to their eyes. And I feel like it doesn't happen if there aren't people like y'all who are actually doing it and giving people the framework to try it for themselves. So it's really valuable what all of you do. Last thing to take us to the end, you're gonna look at the camera or me, whatever feels comfortable, and you're gonna talk about what you have coming up that you're excited about and where people can find you.
Okay, something that I'm definitely excited for Brown Girls Thriving this year is we are hosting our first international group trip. So this is really curated to really get out of our comfort zone. A lot of the girls that are coming, it's their first time doing any kind of solo travel experience, because, you know, solo traveling can be so beneficial for your soul, for your self-confidence, for the way that you even increase that self-trust, you know, traveling to a country by yourself. So I'm really excited for the group trip, and we're going to be doing a lot of experiences that immerse ourselves in the culture, but also, again, like puts us out of our comfort zone and builds very intentional friendships. So yeah, it's happening in November, and I'm really excited for it to just yap and enjoy the sun and tan with other brown women. So yeah, I'm excited.
Amazing.
It's amazing. I'm excited. Yeah. I mean, I know I can't come, but like, it's exciting. You know, it's exciting. Okay, where can they? I don't know why I said that. And where can they find you? Where can they find you?
Oh yes, maybe my Instagram. Yeah. It just _Mathew. That works. Yeah.
_Mathew. Cool. And also on Brown Girls Thriving.
Yeah, browngirlsthriving.com.
Amazing.
Oh yeah, thank you. All right, Dizzy.
Yeah, so one thing that's near and dear to my heart that, you know, I got to tell some of you guys what we're doing, but, you know, being able to bridge the worlds of community and filmmaking, we're going to be able to finally throw a film festival right in our hood in Malvern. So an all Scarborough Creative Film Festival highlighting directors from Scarborough, showing independent films straight out of our community in our community center. It's not a theater. The mayor asked me, like, you guys are not going to go to a theater? No, we're going to have this right in our hood, in the resort center, in that basketball gym. And we're going to have our OG ice cream man from back in the day pull up to the front. It's going to be a really huge community event, and just a way for friends from the ends to really come back to the roots and like meet people on the ground again, and like, you know, really show people that, you know, there's great things happening in Scarborough, and we need to keep that alive. So this is going to be the first ever like Malvern hosting a Scarborough Film Festival. And I'm so excited to not only meet the young filmmakers that I haven't got to meet from our neighborhood, but to see how the community reacts to the stories that are lying right beneath them, that, you know. So I'm really excited for that. May 17th, it's called Seeds of Scarbs, and it will be at the Malvern Family Resource Center. So yeah, you can find us at Friends from the Ends for our collective, and also the new grassroots that we're supporting, which is Seeds of Scarbs themselves. So at Seeds of Scarbs. Check it out.
Hey.
You're pro.
Yeah, you know, your vlog hat went on there for a second. I was like, Dizzy the YouTuber is here.
At the camera though.
You know, you did a great job.
Oh my God.
Take us home, Steffi.
So one of the things that I'm really, really excited about is a program that I'm partnering with another organization called TCCSA. It's in like Immigrant Settlement Service Center. And then we are hosting this, it's actually ongoing already, but we are hosting this Get Engaged in Art program. It's a 1-year program. We're bringing like newcomers and immigrants to different gallery spaces, and also to different festivals and fairs that are related to art, not only visual art, but also like theater, and also other mediums of art. So we are really excited. We have already 3 sessions already at different places, and we are going to have a tour at the Image Center this May 24th. We're going to shoot some photos, take a gallery tour, and just chat and just have fun. And we're also having an exhibition at the end of November in York region. We're still firming the location, and we got more details on Instagram, so you could check out my Instagram at Steffi Ng. Yay!
Yay! Thank you for watching this episode of Changemakers Corner, powered by FUEL with the FUEL Forward Cohort. Just one more round of applause for the FUEL Forward Cohort, members of it. Great job. Keep tuning in. We have more things coming soon. Keep it locked. And yeah, thanks for watching. Peace.